Customer Commerce Podcast, where technology's fast and biz is a blast.
In life and in business, time is precious. It's why customers stay or leave and why businesses succeed or fail. We're here to give a voice to everything that makes business, whether as a customer or as a CEO, easier and more rewarding. Welcome to the Customer Commerce Podcast. Let's dive in. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to episode 24 of the Customer Commerce Podcast. Today, we are bringing an espresso potty nugget, as I like to say. And David has disagreements with the way I say that, but he also has a disagreement with the way I say.
For my fellow brethren in America, now if it's just me, I would really appreciate you chiming in and just say, leave some comments on the show. When I hear potty, what do you call it? A potty nugget?
Potty nugget. I didn't say potty. Yeah, potty.
It sounds like something that you would tell a young kid to go potty. That's immediately what I think of when I hear that, right? And so when I hear Jess, who is saying it with great innocence and incredible enthusiasm, for those that are not seeing us, who are just hearing you, I just want you to know she's not saying it to be, joking around or throwing a curveball. She's just calling it with complete innocent enthusiasm. And I hear it and I think, that's what you tell a young little kid, go potty. Oh, I gotta go. And it's like, go potty. That's what I think of. So it's always a little bit of a joke when she says that. But that's not the first, and that's not the only thing we're going to be talking about as far as pronunciation this episode, because we started before we even jumped on. There was something that Jess said, why don't we talk about, and I won't even provide a spoiler. I'll let you say what you said to me for others to hear.
Okay, well, I have this story because on the Customer Commerce Podcast, we are talking about trending topics and e-commerce, commerce, just the land of business, right? And so I came across this story and I thought, oh my God, this is such a huge, well-known brand that I've never heard about this story. And I was kind of giving a debrief to David about it, saying, I really want to talk about this. I want to break it down. He doesn't know much about it, so I'm excited to talk to him about it. And the brand, the very famous sports brand, is Adidas.
Okay, now, for those of you that just are scratching your head or your ass or both and saying, what the hell did she just say? She just basically was referring to Adidas. I've never heard, and when she said Adidas, I'm like, what the hell is Adidas? Then I told her, when she said Adidas, I said, that sounds like a really bad sexually transmitted disease. Like, wow, have you seen Ralph recently? Ever since that party, he found out that he caught Adidas, and it's not looking so good. And so that's when I heard Adidas.
Yeah. I know, I definitely know Americans say Adidas, but if I say Adidas, I feel like I'm trying to be American. But when you break it down, the word, if you're teaching a little kid the alphabet, you go A-D, like A-D-E. No. Yeah, no, hang on. Oh my gosh. Adidas. Not Adidas. It's not an E or a double E. It's an I between the D's. So it's like a did. Adidas.
That's like saying Nike should be. That's like saying Nike should be pronounced Nike because it's just like. The English language is filled with landmines and exceptions. In fact, the only rule is exceptions. I mean, that is about the only rule. So it's bizarre. But we're going to be talking, for those that actually speak my language, we're going to be talking about Adidas. And for those that speak Jess's language, we're going to be talking about Adidas. See, Adidas sounds like someone who was who belongs in the Gladiator novel, or it's like, oh, he went into the ring with Adidas. Yeah. Yes, Adidas. That's what he sounds. When you do it that way, it sounds like a Greek god or warrior or gladiator. That's what it sounds like.
All right, I need a vote because I'm going to put this on LinkedIn right now. How do you say the brand? Do you say Adidas or do you say Adidas? I want you to comment because it's going to be me and David versus each other. If you hadn't noticed, Adidas, quote unquote, Adidas, has two different logos, and I never clocked on until I saw this story. So you would know there's a logo of there's 3 stripes, and it's like in a mountain shape. I'm going to put a photo in the video of this so you can see it on Spotify. And then there's another one that has 3. It's called a trefoil. Trefoil.
The trefoil. The trefoil. There's that. Well, actually, I pulled up an article which is actually rather amazing. They actually have 3 logos. There's the trefoil that you mentioned. Then there's the 3 stripes, and then there's the performance logo. And basically, what this article says is that each logo symbolizes the brand's evolution while retaining its core values and heritage, thereby offering a distinct identity for various product lines. If you're working on your own, so blah, 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 blah. The 3-stripe logo. The 3-stripe logo is perhaps the most well-known, but that's associated with Adidas. It consists of 3 parallel stripes that run along the side of Adidas products, including footwear, apparel, and accessories. These stripes have become synonymous with the brand. Fine. And since its introduction in the 50s, right? So we're talking about like 75 years. Now the Adidas logo meaning. So what is the meaning behind the 3 stripes? 3 stripes represent the core values: performance, design, and craftsmanship. So that's the theme. Okay. Each stripe symbolizes one of those pillars. Fine. Okay. Now, so that's that. Then the trefoil logo. In addition to the 3-stripe logo, Adidas also has another iconic symbol known as the trefoil logo. This logo features a leaf-like shape with 3 rounded leaves coming together at the center. So that was introduced in the early 70s and was initially used to represent Adidas's Originals range. Okay? And then the Adidas, what else? Then they have that it holds
Adidas Performance.
It was during this time that Adidas became a household name in the world of sports, basically going back to the 70s, gaining popularity among athletes and consumers alike. The trefoil logo is a testament to the brand's longevity and serves as a reminder of its rich history. And then the badge of sport logo. That's more modern. And that basically is just a simplified graphic design with the word Adidas written below in a stylized image. That's introduced in 1997. So my God, so one went from like the 50s, one went to this, so 20 years later, and then almost another in the 70s, almost 30 years later, they come out with this 3rd one. And so they obviously have specific different purposes. The only thing that makes it almost work is the fact that they're pretty monochromatic, meaning that almost all of them are displayed black. And obviously the typography, the word Adidas is done the same way for each. So stylistically, they're not all over the place, but it is kind of like 3 marks. So it's kind of like, see, to me, it's like, yes, does it have 3 logos? Yes. But it's almost like 3 brand lines to kind of distinguish, if it would feel very, very dysfunctional and disconnected if all the typography was totally different. But the fact that Adidas is using the same Adidas throughout, and that each of those is black. So it's not like one, and so from a brand, just strictly from a brand architecture standpoint, I'm a little surprised that they don't have one of them being, let's say, red, and the other one's being, let's say, a green, and another one's being a blue of sorts, so as to actually make those lines, if they really, from a functionality standpoint, because finding stuff in stores or finding stuff online, and I don't think these are being leveraged to their fullest extent based on what I currently see.
Well, I guess because they can also be white. So if you have, I know I have some clothes that are like very strong patterns, bright pink, blue, whatever, and you can just put the white logo on it and it just stands out. I think it's very clever, so that whichever logo you're using, I mean, they're used for different things. Like you have the Adidas sportswear, then you have Adidas Originals. So the logos are.
By the way, but what she meant to say Adidas. By the way, for those that are listening or getting confused, it's not Adidas. It's Adidas.
All right, David. We'll see. Again, no one is right until we get the votes in, okay? But can I give you a bit of the backstory? Okay. Because I found it most fascinating at how Adidas actually came about. So it's the story of a family feud. And it started out with the Dassler brothers. So there's Adolf, in brackets Addy, and then Rudolph. Adolf and Rudolph as brothers. How about that? They're like two reindeers. In the 1920s,
they sound like two reindeer.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, we're going from the bathroom to reindeers. I mean, I don't know where this conversation is going to end up. This is amazing.
Yeah, it's almost Christmas thing, right? So Adolf and Rudolf, they're brothers. In the 1920s, they founded the Dassler Brothers Shoe Company in Germany, creating athletic, innovative shoes. However, their relationship soured during World War II, leading to a bitter split in 1948. Adolf, founded Adidas. See, Adidas. Do you see what I mean? It's not Adi, or maybe it is. Who knows?
Let me see if I can make this very, very clear. No, I don't see at all what you mean.
All right. Let me continue. Let me finish the story, and then you can roast me. Okay. So, Adi/Adolf founded Adidas, while Rudolf, the rivalry brother, created Puma. That's another story. People pronounce it Puma, and I think it's Puma. Yeah. How do you say
Puma? Puma. You say Puma. It's Puma. Puma feels like it's an assault on one's sort of musculature in their mouth to kind of Puma. It's like Puma. Well, actually, Puma sounds like something you'd call someone if someone was highly fragrant in a non flattering way. Wow, boy, they're really quite Puma today. That's what it sounds like to me.
I mean, but Puma sounds like it's giving me like Lion King vibes. Timon and Pumbaa. It's like Pumbaa. That's what it reminds me. Anyway,
Puma could be a young little like tiger or something like that was just born. It's kind of cute. Yeah. You go, oh, little Puma. Exactly. And you hold it up and it goes,
just start singing. But anyway, I thought it was very fascinating that two brothers were like, for whatever the argument started with, they just created these two iconic, and they're both quite iconic. Like maybe Adidas is a little bit more, they've got a little bit more going, but Puma has like, in terms of, artist influencing and campaigns, they're coming through. Puma used to be a little bit daggy, but now I think it's fashion-wise, it's definitely coming back up. So I just think that's interesting.
All I can say is if what Jaguar has recently done with their Jaguar and basically put that beast to rest into this land of obscurity and bizarreness, then this will be the last cat standing for sure, because this reminds me of the Jaguar, the leaping Jaguar, that they used to have as their hood ornament. And so we're all going to find out or actually by the time this has been heard, and we will have found out on December 2nd when they're supposed to do their big unveil. There's only two ways that's going to go down. One is it will go down as the worst rebrand in the history of rebrands, period. Or they're going to go, gotcha. And because what has been achieved over the last 2 weeks is the media has spoken more about Jaguar in the last 2 weeks than probably the last 50 years in total. And so now, if they do a little bait and switch and they go, gotcha, we weren't that clueless, even though we set the stage for all of you to hate on us and do all that kind of stuff, and then they reveal something amazing, on point, and they go back to their Jaguar and they really showcase amazing stuff, it will be the most genius move because almost all of us fell for it. But this does remind me very much of the Jaguar. Now, the alternative is that Jaguar bought out Puma, and it's not been disclosed yet. And now they're converting Puma into a car company. That's the other alternative.
Oh, please, God, no. I mean, we will have to find out. And just so the listeners know, I will be posting David's reaction on the 2nd of December. Whenever that podcast is recorded, I will be posting that. That'll probably be out in Christmas. Still laughing at it.
It's just the whole. I mean, it's in the wild world of everything under the sun. People have tried. People go do crazy things, and I'm actually, I have a question. This is completely a cultural area that I do not know the answer to. So in America, the Super Bowl is certainly it's probably one of the, if not the most viewed TV event in the course of any given year. And what happens is the ads, as it gets closer to that, and it normally happens I think late January-ish, or early February, right in that window of time. And as it gets closer and closer and closer, the ads by the advertisers get wilder and wilder and wilder. And of course, they save the absolute most outrageous ones of any sort. It could be outrageous in terms of emotional. It could be outrageous in terms of visual. I mean, that's how GoDaddy actually became a household word. I think I forget how many years they did it in a row. The only ad they would do every year would be a Super Bowl ad, and it always involved a woman, basically kind of very sexy and kind of just, kind of doing this thing that was GoDaddy. And what the connection was who knows, but everyone talked about the ad the next day and the next week. It just sort of, but they created this momentum over the course of, it was probably about 4 to 7 years is about the window that I recall, and that's all people would know. And now they're the go-to site register. But I'm curious, is there any kind of event like that down under?
I mean, we have the equivalent would be the AFL Australian Football Grand Final. I don't know if we have.
Is that the most viewed? Are ads wild, or is it big?
Ads aren't wild, but definitely nowhere close to Super Bowl. But that's probably the biggest just Australian one. I mean, we have the Commonwealth Games, but that's with other countries. But in terms of an Australian iconic thing, it's either AFL football, or the one that did really well this last year was the Matildas, the soccer, and the women's soccer. And that was just big for many reasons. But I don't think we don't make such a thing about advertisement here. We kind of copy US, but it's not I don't think it's that intense like it is Super Bowl. I don't think it is, but I'm just one Australian. We have to ask many.
No, but I think you represent at least 20% of I think you speak. You yourself speak for at least 20% of the country.
Okay, good. Right. Well, then 20% of the country votes that I think it's AFL. It's probably the biggest.
Okay.
One. But even we
and is that
and
yeah. And sports and for us, it's it happens to be that sports activity. Is there any other type of event? Is there an annual celebration or event or some whatever that would eclipse the sports thing?
No, not at all. I think that comes first. I mean, you have Australia Day, but now that's completely debatable, and it's almost causing more harm than good now, because it's a whole political, cultural thing of when Australia Day is. But that used to be big, and there would be festivals, and there would be not necessarily ads, but a lot of business would be running. It would create a lot of business. But now that's naturally changed because of how things are culturally and whatever that is. But I think it's always been sports is a big thing in Australia, with footy in particular. That's the most popular one, without a doubt. Yeah. Amazing.
Well, I think the faster that the Aussies, pronounce Adidas properly and consistently, and Puma properly and consistently, I think the better off the world is going to be. I think it's a major influential factor, and maybe even the wilder the commercials might get.
That's true. Well, look, David, I'll end this episode off by saying that if you're wanting the Aussies to guarantee you to change the way we pronounce Adidas and Puma, that's never going to happen. I'll tell you right now. I'll tell you right now. So I would say
I'm completely aware of that. Yes.
But it is very interesting how we have different ways of pronunciation. But I'm going to leave it with that. I said an espresso podcast, and we'll be talking for over 20 minutes. So,
well, this advanced from an espresso podcast to a cappuccino, at least a cappuccino.
Yeah, and then it'll be a tall black or your long black. Sorry,
that's right.
Exactly. We're just all right, David Breyer.
And by the way, that's another. I'll leave our listeners with this. That is a total other conversation that one day that we will share with Michael on the phone, because when I heard the various names that coffee beverages have that are definitely Australian in origin and that we occasionally start to adopt, like flat white is something that I think has become more familiar in the U.S. Of the last couple of years. But between that and just flat white and long black, which is basically what we as Americans would know as an Americano. As if
Australians are going to say Americano. David Breyer, have a beautiful day. We're going to come at you next week. Beautiful. Michael is going to join us, and we can have this. We can continue this discussion, and you can ask him about the Adidas and Puma as well, and then you'll be outnumbered. All right, David Breyer. Good night. Thanks for joining us today. We hope you had an awesome time, leaving you with ideas on how to improve your business and wow customers. If you'd like to leave a real customer's story, head to the link in our show notes and cuss away. Love the show? Please subscribe and leave a review, because that enables us to help more businesses in building real relationships with customers and grow more rapidly. See you next time.